Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Be careful what you wish for, Karen. You may get it. Like the guy who demanded to get the exact same seats on a canceled flight, then found out that everyone else left who was on the flight with him got to go first class while he was in coach. At least he had extra legroom. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. I didn't give you the right amount of pork? Let me correct that. I work at a U.S. Western popular counter-serve, laid-back Mexican place. It's most popular in Utah, but has locations in the surrounding states. It's like a Subway for Mexican food. We serve burritos, tacos, enchiladas, salads, quesadillas, and more, all with customizable ingredients. At this place, we have very organized and guideline-set portioning. The meat's the most portioned, with there being regular checks that the guest is not being given too much or too little. So we get really busy at times. This happened last night, and it was really crazy. I was working at the front of the line where the guest selects entree, tortilla, rice, beans, and meat. One guest, a larger woman, comes in and immediately starts complaining how long the line is, loudly. We're getting through guests as fast as we can, but it's quite slow because it's incredibly busy and we keep running out of our more popular meats because they have to be grilled and cooked. Karen gets to the front and absolutely starts laying into me about how long the line is. I try to keep the interaction moving in order to keep the line moving, so I take her order. She orders a pork salad. Now, I don't care all that much for the portioning, so I give a little extra if I can get away with it, so I do for her. That's not enough meat, Karen snaps. Oh, I'm sorry, would you like extra meat? That'll cost just a bit extra, I reply. No, I just want regular, but you're being effing stingy. That's not 4 ounces. I know the owner of this place. I know exactly how much it should be. It's accurate according to our portion standards, I say. We go back and forth for a minute, but I've had enough. She says, just give me the correct amount of damn pork. Okay, then, I will. I get a scale and she watches me put the pork in and it reads 5.9 ounces. I then scoop some into the trash until it reads exactly 4 ounces. There you go, I say, the exact amount of pork. She doesn't even bother finishing her order. She doesn't even ask for the manager. She just flips me off, says, F you, and storms out. Thing is, I bet if she'd been kind and asked you nicely, you would have given her a bit more. And our second story. Lady, I'd love to get that commission, but I don't even work for this company. This happened between Christmas 2019 and New Year's 2020. I caught my then boyfriend looking at engagement rings online. I used to work in one of the national chain jewelry stores about a decade ago. When I saw what he was looking at, I got a little concerned because he was looking at incredibly expensive and huge carat weight diamonds. So I asked him what he was doing, and he told me he was looking for a ring for when he proposed to me. Sweet man. Anyway, I encouraged him to just go to the closest mall and we'd walk through all the jewelry stores together. I'd try some on, look at what I felt was reasonable pricing, and we could also look at wedding bands for him and imagine what they looked like together. That way, when he was ready to propose, he would have a better idea of what I'd want. It's a win-win. So we go to these stores, and my boyfriend becomes a bit amused because I snap straight into jewelry associate mode. You work in one store, you pretty much have worked in them all. I knew what I didn't want, and I knew I wanted something relatively different. Each associate in every store were incredibly kind and thankful to have clients that got straight to the point without being too wishy-washy. We get through all the stores, and I still had one ring in my head that I kept thinking about, and I wanted to see it again. I wanted to make sure I liked it as much as I thought I had. When we returned, the store was just swamped with customers. Earlier, when we were there, most of the associates had talked to us once they heard me asking about Morganites and Alexandrites. So when we came back and they were all busy, several of them raised their hands and said, "Hey, Lily and boyfriend." I said hello back and to not worry about us. An older woman was there as well and had clearly been waiting for some time and hadn't been helped yet. She came over and asked me if the store carried Bulova watches. I told her I'm pretty sure they do and walked her to the display case and pointed them out. She hemmed and hawed for a while, then asked if they had diamond necklaces that were more like statement pieces than pendants. I knew there were some there because I'd just seen them, so I walked her over to the showpieces. She really liked those. Then there was a lovely ring that was a moissanite and very large. I could never pull it off, but this lady clearly could. At this point, one of the associates finally came over. He asked how he could help, and the lady just looked at me like he was insane. I looked at him like maybe she was insane, but I told him the 3 pieces that she seemed most interested in, and he went to pull them out. She loved them and decided to purchase them. As he went to check her out, I went back to sit with my boyfriend until I heard this lady loudly say, "I hope you're giving that commission to your coworker over there since you did nothing but open some cases." OMG, I was so mortified. I hadn't even thought about her thinking I was working there. I just try to be helpful and keep life peaceful for these folks who are working in retail. I rush over and let her know that I didn't work there. She says, "But obviously you're an employee for this store." I kindly as possible say, "No ma'am, I do not work for the company and have not worked for this company ever. I just used to work in jewelry a decade ago." And this associate deserves the commission because if he hadn't been so kind to me and my boyfriend earlier and shown me the ring I want to signify my commitment to my future husband, I wouldn't have been here in a good mood willing to show you where all the items were. She was really sweet though. Associate was incredibly thankful, and it was like a $6,000 sale. Anyway, that's why I don't go to jewelry stores anymore. But on the plus side, I love my ring, and we have a fun story about the time I accidentally hijacked a jewelry store. Oops. And our last story. Neighbors stole half an acre of our land. My family owns just shy of 3 acres of land in Georgia, and we've had these neighbors for about 5 years now. In the beginning, they were just parking over on our side, which no one really minded. My mother, the property owner, was a little concerned when they placed an above-ground pool on our property line in between the 2 properties, but decided to let it slide because it just wasn't worth it. Then, as the years have gone by bit, they've been taking more and more land. It started with cutting the grass on our side, creating a property line that about half an acre over from the actual line. Our grass was getting tall due to our lawnmower being out of commission, and my mother assumed they didn't want taller grass near their side and just let it slide. Then they began construction. They began clearing out trees, graveling to extend their driveway into our land, and creating a literal farm next door. We live out in the country, and there's a cow farm right behind us, so the farm itself isn't the issue. However, they'd begun using our land as farmland, erecting a chicken coop, a cow pen, and have started clearing out more area for goats. Their property is about 1 acre, according to the local tax assessor website. When this began, my mother immediately went next door and tried to speak to them. She said that she didn't mind them using her property, but she wished they'd spoken to her first and not to place anything permanent on the property, as she was planning on putting up a fence. At this point, we didn't know they'd cut down trees and already permanently damaged the property. She was met with anger, and they talked down to her as though she was stupid to ask them not to use the land. "You aren't using it," is their main argument. My mother isn't a confrontational person, but I am. We immediately got a survey to place property line stakes and actually learned they were using more of our property than we initially thought we had. We saw the torn down trees and noticed they've been dumping trash on our side behind an old barn we have. The neighbors harassed the men to perform the survey, and as soon as they left, ripped the property markers out of the ground and began moving them over to where they want the property line to be. Every day, they keep inching farther and farther past the actual property line. We contacted a lawyer who suggested we send a certified letter giving them a formal 7-day notice to remove all trash, clear out all of their belongings, and remove all trailers they've now parked on our property. If they do not vacate, we can seize their belongings and officially bring them to court for damages. We've sent the certified notice and the 7-day notice is up, but the neighbors have refused the certified letter. It's attempted delivery several times and they've not accepted it. They've done so many disrespectful and downright mean things to us since this has started, including hiding the metal rebar that marks our property lines. They drove it deep into the ground and dumped sawdust chips and trees on top of the line. We also know that when they don't see any cars in our driveway, they snoop around our property and even get close to our house. It is incredibly jarring to wake up in your home and see people hanging out on your back porch and walking their kids around your front yard. My mother had taken my car for the day and looked as though no one was home, and that's when I noticed them walking through our yard and barns looking around. As soon as I went to call 911 and ran outside to confront them, They snuck off back to their property and laughing it off when I followed them to confront them, claiming they'd lost one of their chickens and were just searching for it. We're in the process of getting security cameras up, but again, update. We found a new real estate attorney and we have a consultation later today as to just what the next steps will be. Another thing we actually just learned is that our neighbors next door do not own the property. They're renters. The actual homeowner owns several pieces of property and rents them out around here. The people don't even own the property they're chopping down trees on, graveling, and starting a farm on. After we brought the information to the current owner, he immediately kicked them out, and we filed a lawsuit for cutting down our trees. Hey guys, thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.